ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायण नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवति उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 19, entitled King Pṛthu's 100 Horse Sacrifices. King Pṛthu's 100 Horse Sacrifices. Maitreya Ata Dikshita Rajato Hayameda Shatena Saham Brahmavarte Mano Kshetre Yatra Prachi Saraswati. The great sage Maitreya continued, My dear Vidura, King Pṛthu initiated the performance of 100 horse sacrifices at the spot where the river Saraswati flows towards the east. This piece of land is known as Brahmavarta and it is controlled by Swayambhuva Manu. तदभिप्रेत्य भगवान् क्रमातिशयम् आत्मनः शतक्रतुर्न ममृषे पृथोर्यज्ञमहोत्सवम्. When the most powerful Indra, the king of heaven, saw this, he considered the fact that Pṛthu was going to exceed him in fruitive activities. Thus, Indra could not tolerate the great sacrificial ceremonies performed by King Pṛthu. यत्र यज्ञपतिः साक्षात् भगवान् हरिरीश्वरः अन्वभूयतः सर्वात्मा सर्वलोकगुरुः प्रभुः. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, is present in everyone's heart as the Super Soul, and He is the proprietor of all planets and the enjoyer of the results of all sacrifices. He was personally present at the sacrifices made by King Pṛthu. अन्वितो ब्रह्म सर्वाभ्यां लोकपालैः साहानुगैः उपगीयमानो गन्धर्वैर्मुनिभिश्चापसरो गणैः. When Lord Vishnu appeared in the sacrificial arena, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and all the chief predominating personalities of every planet, as well as their followers, came with him. When he appeared on the scene, the residents of Gandharva Loka, the great sages, and the residents of Apsara Loka all praised him. सिद्धा विद्याधर दैत्या दानवः गुह्यकादयः सुनन्दनन्दप्रमुखाः पार्षदः प्रवरा हरेः. The Lord was accompanied by the residents of Siddhaloka and Vidyadharaloka, all the descendants of Diti and the demons and the Yakshas. He was also accompanied by his chief associates headed by Sunanda and Nanda. कपिलो नारदो दत्तो योगेशा सनकादय तम अन्वीयुर्भागवता ये च तत्सेवनोत्सुकाः. Great devotees who were always engaged in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as well as the great sages named Kapila, Narada, and Dattatreya, and the masters of mystic powers headed by Sanaka Kumara, all attended the great sacrifice with Lord Vishnu. यत्र धर्मदुगा भूमि सर्वकामदुगा सती दोग्धि स्माभीप्सितान् अर्थान् यजमानस्य भारत. My dear Vidra, in that great sacrifice, the entire land came to be like the milk producing Kamadhenu, and thus, by the performance of Yajna, all daily necessities for life were supplied. ऊहो सर्वरज ऊहो सर्वरसान्नद्यः क्षीरदधि अन्नगोरसान् तरवो भूरि वर्ष्माणाः प्रासूयन्तमधुच्युतः. The flowing rivers supplied all kinds of tastes, sweet, pungent, sour, etc., and very big trees supplied fruit and honey in abundance. The cows, having eaten sufficient green grass, supplied profuse quantities of milk, curd, clarified butter, and similar other necessities. सिन्धवो रत्ननिकारान् गिरयोन्नं चतुर्विधम् उपायनम् उपाजह्रुः सर्वे लोकाः स palakaः. King Pṛthu was presented with various gifts from the general populace and predominating deities of all the planets. The oceans and seas were full of valuable jewels and pearls, and the hills were full of chemicals and fertilizers. Four kinds of edibles were produced profusely. इति चादोक्षजेष्यस्य पृतोस्तु परमोदयम् असूयन् भगवान् इन्द्रः प्रतिघातम् अचीकरत्. King Pṛthu was dependent on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is known as Adhokshaja. Because King Pṛthu performed so many sacrifices, he was superhumanly enhanced by the mercy of the Supreme Lord. King Pṛthu's opulence, however, could not be tolerated by King of Heaven, Indra, who tried to impede the progress of his opulence. चरमेण स्वमेधेन यजमाने यजुस्पतिं वैन्ये यज्ञपशुं स्पर्धन् अपोवाह tirohitah. When Pṛthu Maharaj was performing the last horse sacrifice, Ashwamedha Yajna, King Indra, invisible to everyone, stole the horse intended for sacrifice. He did this because of his great envy of King Pṛthu. Give me 1 second. Okay. Tam atrirбhagavan aikshat त्वरमानं विहायसा amuktam iva pakandam yo dharme dharma vibhramaha. When King Ingda was taking away the horse, he dressed himself to appear as a liberated person. Actually, this dress was a form of cheating, for it falsely created an impression of religion. When Indra went into outer space in this way, the great sage Atri saw him and understood the whole situation. Atrina chodito hantum prutum putro maharatah anvadavata sankrudhas tishteti chabravit. When the son of King Pṛthu was informed by Atri of King Indra's trick, he immediately became very angry and followed Indra to kill him, calling, "Wait, wait!" तं तादृशाकृतिं वीक्ष्य मेने धर्मं शरीरिनं जटिलं भस्मनाच्छान्नं तस्मै बाणं न मुञ्चति. King Indra was prudently dressed as a sannyasi, having knotted his hair on his head and smeared ashes all over his body. Upon seeing such dress, the son of King Pṛthu considered Indra a religious man and pious sannyasi. Therefore, he did not release his arrows. Vadan nivrittam tam bhuyo hantavetrir achodayat jahi yajnahanam tata mahendram vibhudadanam damam. When Atri Muni saw that the son of King Pṛthu did not kill Indra but returned deceived by him, so let me say. When Atri Muni saw the son of King Pṛthu, right. When Atri Muni saw that the son of King Pṛthu did not kill Indra but returned deceived by him, Atri Muni again instructed him to kill the heavenly king because he thought that Indra had become the lowliest of all demigods due to his impeding the execution of King Pṛthu's sacrifice. एवं वैन्यसुतः प्रोक्तस्त्वरमाणं विहाय सा अन्वद्रवद् अभिक्रुद्धो रावणं गृध्रराद इव. Being thus informed, the grandson of King Vena immediately began to follow Indra, who was fleeing through the sky in great haste. He was very angry with him and he chased him just as the king of vultures chased Ravana. सोऽस्वं रूपं च तद्धित्वा तस्मा अन्तर्हितः स्वरात् वीरः स्वपशो आदाय पितुर्यज्ञम् उपेयिवान्. When Indra saw that the son of Pṛthu was chasing him, he immediately abandoned his false dress and left the horse. Indeed, he disappeared from that very spot, and the great hero, the son of Maharaj Pṛthu, returned the horse to his father's sacrificial arena. तत्तस्य चाद्भुतं कर्म विचक्ष्य परमर्षयः नामब्देनं ददुस्तस्मै विजितास्व इति प्रभो. My dear Lord Vidura, when the great sages observed the wonderful prowess of the son of King Pṛthu, they all agreed to give him the name Vijitatsva. उपसृज्य तमस्वि तीव्रं जहारास्वं पुनर्हरिः चशाल यूपतश्चन्नो हिरण्यरसनं विभुः. My dear Vidura, Indra, being the king of heaven and very powerful, immediately brought a dense darkness upon the sacrificial arena. Covering the whole scene in this way, he again took away the horse which was chained with golden shackles near the wooden instrument where animals were sacrificed. अत्रि सन्दर्शयामास त्वरमाणं विहाय सा कपाल कट्वाङ्गधरं वीरो नैनम् अबाधत. The great sage Atri again pointed out to the son of King Pṛthu that Indra was fleeing through the sky. The great hero, the son of Pṛthu, chased him again, but when he saw that Indra was carrying in his hand a staff with a skull at the top and was again wearing the dress of a sannyasi, he still chose not to kill him. अत्रिना चोदितस्तस्मै सन्ददे विशिखां वृषा सोऽस्वं रूपं च तद्दिव्यां दित्वा तष्टाव तष्टाव अन्तर्हितः स्वरात्. When the great sage Atri again gave directions, the son of King Pṛthu became very angry and placed an arrow on his bow. Upon seeing this, King Indra immediately abandoned the false dress of a sannyasi and giving up the horse made himself invisible. वीरश्चास्वम् उपादाय पितृयज्ञम् अथाव्रजत् तद् अवद्यं हरे रूपं जगृं ज्ञानदुर्बलाः. Then the great hero Vijitasva, the son of King Pṛthu, again took the horse and returned to his father's sacrificial arena. Since that time, certain men with a poor fund of knowledge have adopted the dress of a false sannyasi. It was King Indra who introduced this. Let me read again. Since that time, certain men with poor fund of knowledge have adopted the dress of a false sannyasi. It was King Indra who introduced this. यानि रूपाणि जग्रे इन्द्रो हया जिहि श्रवया तानि पापस्य खण्डानि lingam kandham ihochyate. Whatever different forms Indra assumed as a mendicant because of his desire to seize the horse were symbols of atheistic philosophy. एवम् इन्द्रिय हरति अश्वं वैन्ययज्ञजिगांसया तद्गृहीत विसृष्टेषु पाखण्डेषु मतिर्नृणां धर्मैरुपधर्मेषु नग्नरक्तपठादिषु प्रायेण सज्जते भ्रान्त्या पेशलेषु च वाग्मिषु. In this way, King Indra, in order to steal the horse from King Pṛthu's sacrifice, adopted several orders of sannyas. Some sannyasis go naked and sometimes they wear red garments and pass under the name of Kapilika. These are simply symbolic representations of their sinful activities. These so-called sannyasis are very much appreciated by sinful men because they are all godless atheists and very expert in putting forward arguments and reasons to support their case. We must know, however, that they are only passing as adherents of religion and are not so in fact. Unfortunately, bewildered persons accept them as religious and being attracted to them, they spoil their life. Hare Krishna. So we stop here, we continue remaining in the tomorrow's session. And the reason why I stopped here is there are also so many points that are covered till here that we should definitely spend some time to read. So give me 1 second. I'm just okay. Here, Maitreya Rishi is continuing to speak to Vidura because Vidura was asking all how did King Pṛthu milk the cow. And how did he his sacrifice was disturbed by Indra. So so the Lord, Sri Bhagavan Vacha, Yeshete Karshit Bhangam. Then what happened is, Lord Vishnu said, my dear King Pṛthu, Indra, the king of heaven, has disturbed your execution of 100 sacrifices. Now he has come with me to be forgiven by you. Did I? Oh, sorry, I'm reading already. 20th chapter. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. So here, Maitreya Rishi is telling to Vidura, King Pṛthu initiated the performance of 100 horses sacrifice, not one Ashwamedha Yajna, but it is 100. And here, Shata, Shata means 100, Satena means to perform 100. And for that he chose a very auspicious place which is on the bank of river Saraswati. Uh, this piece of land is also called Brahmavarta and is controlled by Swayambhu Manu. So then going further, we see what happened is all is fine where the king has everything, all the resources that he can perform the yajna. Uh, but then what happened? When the most powerful king, hmm, powerful Indra saw this, he considered the fact that King Pṛthu was going to exceed him in fruitful activities. This is a big problem, isn't it? When we see someone is advancing, and if he is advancing beyond us, we start sense of, oh, what may happen to me, who will value me, etc. And Indra, this Prabhupada writes in the purport, in the material world, everyone who comes to enjoy himself or lord it over the material nature is envious of others. I am envious. You are envious. He is envious. She is envious. Everyone is envious when we are in the material world. This envy is also found in the personality of King of Indra, King of Heaven Indra. As evident from revealed scriptures, Indra was several times envious of many people. Hmm. He was envious, and especially envious of great fruitive activities and execution of yoga practices or siddhis. He was envious due to fear that those who performed great sacrifices for execution of mystic yoga might occupy his seat. We all are taking upadhi. Upadhi means support, uh, shelter, or position, or what do you call this? Status. So these things. Indeed, Indra, he could not tolerate them and he desired to break them up. He was envious due to fear that those who performed great sacrifices for execution of mystic yoga might occupy his seat. So this sense of fear, fear of what? Fear of unknown. And usually when we have fear of unknown, usually we think defense. Let's take defense. What does that defense is? Sometimes we attack. In the process of defending ourselves, what we do is better is counteract by attacking before the other person attacks. This is the nature of a snake. Snake, it's very scared. It is very scared. It's not that wow, it really is so brave and comes and bites. No, it is scared because it thinks that someone is going to attack. And the moment it senses that fear becomes bigger, then it starts attacking. So this envy is in. Since no one in this material world can tolerate another's advancement, everyone in the material world is called Matsara. Matsara means envious. In the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that he is meant for those who are completely nirmatsara, nirmatsaranam. Hmm? In other words, one who is not free from the contamination of envy cannot advance in Krishna consciousness. I don't know if someone want to make a note. Yeah, definitely this is a very, very important point. If we want to advance in devotion, there is no other way but we have to keep aside, give away our envy towards others. If as long as we are envious of others, then it will always be obstacle in our journey, in our Krishna consciousness. Such non-envy is typical of Vaikuntha. However, when one is envious of his competitor, that is material, the demigods posted in the material world are not exempt from envy. Sometimes we, know, I don't know who asked. I think Parth Prabhu was asking, how is it that this can be the nature? Yeah. So, and then in this next, we see. Pṛthu Maharaj was a Shaktavesh avatar, we know, of Lord Vishnu. Actually, Pṛthu Maharaj was a living entity, but he acquired specific powers from Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu, however, is directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead and thus belongs to the category of Vishnu Tattva. Maharaj Pṛthu belongs to Jiva Tattva. The Vishnu Tattva indicates God, whereas Jiva Tattva indicates the part and parcel of God. When God's part and parcel is especially empowered, he is called Shakti Avatar. Lord Vishnu is herein described as Harir Ishvara. The Lord is so kind that he takes all miserable conditions away from his devotees. So going forward, Anvita Brahma Sarvabhyam Lokapale Sahanugai Upagiyamano Gandharvair Muni Chapsaro Ganah. All there appeared, everyone. When Lord Vishnu appeared in the sacrificial arena, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and all the chief, everyone, all were appeared and all praised him, the Lord. And then came also the Lord was accompanied by residents of Siddhaloka, Vidyadhara Loka, all descendants of Diti. Who are the descendants of Diti? They are demons and yakshas. He was also accompanied by his chief associates headed by Sunanda and Nanda. And then Kapilo Narado Datto. So there is whole description who all came along with him. So Maitreya is saying, my dear Vidura, in that sacrifice, the entire land came to be like the milk producing Kamadhenu, whole land. And thus, by the performing of yajna, all necessities of life were supplied. So when this was done, everything was available, all the resources were there. And then we go to verse number hmm, hmm, verse number 11. There comes King Indra is called Shatakratu. Shatakratu, which indicates that he has performed 100 horse sacrifices. It means if someone performs 100 Ashwamedha Yajna, then he is qualifying himself to become Indra, the king of heaven. So he already attained. That's why he is in that position. We should know, however, that the animals sacrificed in the yajna were not killed. Huh? And the philosophy or the reason behind that is uh, mantrocharana, how one is pronouncing the mantras is tested by the means of applying them on an animal, and that's what we call as animal sacrifice. That is a test for successful yajna. When King Pṛthu was performing 100 yajnas, Indra became very envious. Being an ordinary living entity, he became envious of King Pṛthu, and making himself invisible, he stole the horse and thus impeded the yajna performance. What is the result of envy? Envy means we obstruct others' success, others' advancement. So if someone is advancing, we make sure that, oh no, yeah, even if I don't advance, I make sure the other person doesn't advance. That is the mentality. Here, Indra was like that. When King Indra was taking away the horse, he dressed himself to appear as a liberated person. The word here used is pakhanda. Pakhanda, which is also pronounced as pashanda or pashandi. Both of these words indicate an impostor. Imposter means one who cheats, and imposter who presents himself as a very religious person but in actuality is sinful. Indra took up saffron colored dress as a way of cheating others. In Ramayana, we know that Ravana to abduct Mother Sita, he also disguised himself in saffron robes. And there he has come as what kind of sannyas? I forgot. Yatishvara sannyas means as if like posing he knows everything like that. And in same Ramayana we see that Hanuman comes in disguise in front of Ram and Lakshman to test who are there, to know who are there. He comes also, and then he comes as Bhikshuk sannyas. I think I have to check once, but yes, yeah. So this saffron dress has been misused by many impostors. In the case of their Hanuman, he didn't misuse, but actually he used it so that he serves his master. Sugriva wanted to know because he was scared to death. Like, oh, who are the strangers? Did my brother Vali has sent them to kill me? Hmm? to find out Hanuman goes in this disguise. As we have mentioned many times, the conditioned soul has a tendency to cheat. Therefore, this quality is also visible in persons like King Indra. It is understood that even King Indra is not liberated from the clutches of mental contamination. Amuktam, the word Amuktam means Amuktam Iva means as if he were liberated. Mukta means liberated. Amukta Iva means certainly he is not liberated by but looks like that. The saffron dress worn by a sannyasi announces to the world that he has renounced all worldly affairs and is simply engaged in the service of the Lord. It is such a big thing to become a sannyas. It's not like logically after 50 years one becomes takes vanaprastha and after 60 years he becomes a sannyas. It doesn't become like that. It's just something like if one doesn't do any good, but when he dies, one cannot expect that he will go to higher planets. That is not going to happen. So, one, it is said in Bhagavad Gita, Anashrita karma phalam karyam karma karoti va sa sannyasi cha yogi cha na niragnir na chakri yaha. It is said, one who is unattached to the fruits of his work and who works as he is obliged is in the renounced order of life, and he is the true mystic and not he who lights no fire and performs no work. So it means one shouldn't be lazy and think that everything is done by Lord. Na? So when everything is done by Lord, what am I supposed to do? Let's not do anything. No. Or one who is not performing yagyas, they are they are not they are not in the renounced order of life. In other words, one who offers the results of his activities to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is actually sannyasi. Cheating sannyasis and yogis have existed since time of Pṛthu Maharaj. This cheating was very foolishly introduced by King Indra. In some ages, such cheating is very prominent, and in other ages, not so prominent. It is the duty of a sannyasi to be very cautious because, as stated in by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, sannyasira alpa chidra sarvaloke gaya. A little spot in sannyas character will be magnified by public. Huh? So only a very exalted person advanced in spiritual understanding should attempt to take up sannyas. One should not adopt this order as a means of livelihood or for some material purpose. Anyway, what happened here? Indra came. Uh, then, when he was taking away, King Pṛthu said, "Wait, wait. But how can a cheater wait?" A real Kshatriya does not kill his enemy from behind, nor does real Kshatriya turn his back on the battlefield. According to Kshatriya principle and spirit, one either attains victory or dies on the battlefield. We know this. So Pṛthu Maharaj, he could not challenge, he could not kill. He was just saying, wait, wait, come. तं तादृशाकृतिं वीक्ष्य मेने धर्मं शरीरिणं जटिलं jatilam means what is the word having knotted hair. So anyway, here King Indra tried to escape. He had this strange dresses. What is that? In the dress of sannyas, having knotted his hair on his head and smeared ashes all over body. So he wanted to come and cheat. Hmm. Vadan. So when Atri Muni saw that, then he said, okay, he sent Pṛthu Maharaj's son to chase. And Pṛthu Maharaj's son, he went and he chased. And the moment he saw that the son of King Pṛthu has come, Indra left the horse and he disappeared from the place. And then this repeated again. And when the great sages observed the wonderful prowess of King son of Pṛthu, they gave him the name Vijitatsva. This will come again after after second or third chapter. There we can speak. And then afterwards, he again took away the horse. This happened again. And Atri Sandarsayam Asa. And now what happened? He pointed out again when he saw that Indra was carrying in his hand staff with a skull at the top and was again wearing the dress of a sannyasi, he still chose not to kill him. Which means, what does that mean? Sometimes we may think, na, people who are in the heaven, they will not die. They are Amar, Amarendra. Even Lord Indra is called like that. Hmm. But no, it said even from the Brahmaloka to the down, from Lord Brahma till ant, everyone is mortal. When this happened, then Vijitatsva, he again took the horse and returned to his father. Since that time, certain men with a poor fund of knowledge have adopted the dress of false sannyas. And now in the purport, pay careful attention to understand few important terminologies. And yeah, I'll start. Since time immemorial, sannyas order has carried the Tridanda. Tridanda means three sticks. Later, Shankaracharya introduced Ekadandi sannyasi. A Tridandi sannyasi is a Vaishnava sannyasi and an Ekadandi sannyasi is a Mayavadi sannyasi. There are many other types of sannyasis who are not approved by Vedic rituals. A type of pseudo sannyas was introduced by Indra when he tried to hide himself from the attack of Vijitatsva. Now there are many different types of sannyasis. Some of them go naked, and some of them carry a skull and trident, generally known as Kapalika. All of them were introduced under some meaningless circumstances. And those who have a poor fund of knowledge accept these false sannyasis and their pretenses, although they are not bona fide guides to spiritual advancement. At the present moment, some missionary institutions, without referring to Vedic rituals, have introduced some sannyasis who engage in sinful activities. The sinful activities forbidden by Shastras are illicit sex, intoxication, meat eating, gambling. These so called sannyasis indulge in all these activities. They eat meat, flesh, fish, eggs, and just about everything. They sometimes drink with excuse that without alcohol, fish and meat, it is impossible to remain in the cold countries near the Arctic zone. These sannyasis introduce all these sinful activities in the name of serving the poor, and consequently, poor animals are cut to pieces and go into the bellies of these sannyasis. As described in the following verses, such sannyasis are pakandis. Vedic literature states that a person who puts Lord Narayan on the level with Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma immediately becomes a Pakandi. As stated in Puranas, Yastu Narayanam Devam Brahma Rudradi Devataihi Samat Samatvenaiva Viksheta Sa Pashandi Bhavat Dhruvam. Dhruvam means for sure. In Kali Yuga, the Pakandis are very prominent. However, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has tried to kill all these Pakandis by introducing his Sankirtan movement. Those who take advantage of the Sankirtan movement of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness will be able to save themselves from the influence of these Pakandis. यानि रूपाणि जग्रे इन्द्रो हया जिहीर्षया तानि papasya khandani lingam khandam ihochyate. And then what happened? Whatever different forms Indra assumed as mendicant because of his desire to seize the horse were symbols of atheistic philosophy. And what does that mean? Yeah, there is not only atheism, there are more. According to Vedic civilization, sannyas is one of the essential items in the program of Varnashram. One should accept sannyas according to the parampara system of the acharyas. At the present moment, however, many so called sannyasis or mendicants have no understanding of God consciousness. No one can introduce any new system into the Vedic ways of life. If one does so out of malice, he is to be known as Pashandi or atheist. In Vaishnava Tantra, it is said, yes, tu Narayanam, this is what we just covered. Have anyone heard this? There are many Pashandis who coined terms called Daridra Narayan and Swami Narayan. Although not even such demigods as Brahma and Shiva can be equal to Narayan. And yeah, finally, the last verse is saying that As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, men in this age are short-lived, hmm, devoid of spiritual knowledge, and susceptible to accept false religious systems. Thus, they always remain mentally disturbed. So, what should we do? Actually, the only religion is the religion of surrender unto the Supreme Lord. We must serve the Lord in Krishna consciousness. All other systems of sannyas and religion are actually not bona fide. In this age, they are simply passing for religious systems. That is most regrettable. Hare Krishna. Thank you. See, a very important message. Yeah, we usually see here. Indra, yeah, is under the influence of envy. What is he doing? He wants to take away, or he wants to endanger the success of others. So in our advancement, we should be very careful. It's very. Otherwise, there is no difference between any other people or devotee. If we want to become devotee, we should give up this quality. It's not easy, huh? Because it comes back again and again. Because we have the tendency of justifying our own self, whatever we do, if we do good or bad. Huh? So it's very difficult to know our own nature that we are envying others. So yeah, that's why we should pray to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his mission of Sankirtan movement and save ourselves from this. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.